All right, so we are going to jump into the actual specific assignments on our syllabus. So go ahead and grab that and follow along. I'm just going to be kind of starting at the top and going straight through, but I'll be giving you extra details and just kind of some added input on these assignments and some specifics. So of course, the very first thing is the learning contract, and that's very common to all the classes. By this point, you're already well aware of what a learning contract is. So go ahead and get that taken care of within the first couple days of class. Again, we've got reading assignments, and we already talked about the two textbooks, the Cloud and the Jacobs textbook. Make sure that you have those. You'll notice in your course schedule that there is significant reading from each of these texts each week. I would encourage you to do college level reading, which means that you're not having to get word for word and all those sorts of things, but make sure that you're getting all the concepts, that you're reading through kind of the overall topics and dynamics and what's going on in those textbooks. But make sure that you have these the first day of class, because like I said, if you look at your schedule, there's some pretty significant reading that's going to be done every single week. So we've got our reading assignments, we've got the quizzes, and you'll see that there's 18 quizzes, okay? So you're gonna kind of have to pace yourself, and these of course are going to be based off of your text. These are open book. That's totally fine to be able to use your textbook. I don't mind that at all, but these are going to be in course mate. So what you're gonna wanna do, of course, there's a sample quiz that goes with all of these. You will take the quiz, and then when you can take it multiple times, but you have to enter into Blackboard, and there's a spot in Blackboard to do this. You're going to enter into Blackboard your first score. So if you get 5 out of 10 on the first time, that's the score that you are expected to report. Now, if there's questions or anything like that, you can ask me, but I wouldn't stress out too much if you have 1 or 2 or even 5 poor quiz scores, because it definitely is a smaller amount of points, but you're going to want to make sure that you're consistent with it. Of course, also there's videos in this class. CourseMate does have videos that you can be watching each week that mirror the concepts that we are reading about within the text. You'll note that there are a few chapters that do not have videos that go with them, and that's just fine. Really quickly, well, I will say this. You'll notice that the next item is the video questions. So there's 12 sets of video questions. So again, there's a few chapters that don't have videos that go with them, but the chapters that do have videos that go with them, there's a set of questions for each one of those, and each set of questions is 10 points each. So after watching the videos, you're going to then again go ahead and answer the questions. You're going to save those answers in a Microsoft Word document and then go ahead and submit those through Blackboard. Okay, so again, you'll notice on the syllabus there's a clarification. There's 5 chapters that don't have video questions, but then there's 12 that do. So you're going to want to make sure that you are submitting 12 separate documents that go over these video questions. Submit them in a Word document to Blackboard, and you'll be graded for them. Now, also in regards to videos, I mentioned briefly in the last video, or the first part of our syllabus video, that I interact via lecture videos. Now, I know that there's a lot of really intricate assignments throughout this course, and because it's a 7-week course, I'm really going to limit my lecture videos. I don't want to add one more thing onto your plate that you're starting to feel overwhelmed with. So the videos that I'm going to give you are going to briefly touch on the topics that we're talking about each week, and there's likely not even going to be a video for every week. But then it's also going to be, again, just kind of refreshing on assignments. I'll probably give you some added resources just that I found helpful in my own therapeutic practice. And of course, these videos are not going to be over like a half an hour in length, to make sure that, that it's not one more assignment, but that they can actually help, again, create that connection, that they can be interactive and real life also. Sometimes it's hard in videos to feel like, is this really real life? But this is a chance to share experience and knowledge with you guys. So I will keep those to a bare minimum, but like I said, I really like that to be able to connect with you, so that's why I do those. So that's that's the videos. Discussion board questions, y'all are very, very familiar with what the discussion board is. So the discussion board questions for this particular course are not necessarily controversial in nature. There's not a lot of there's not even a lot of opinions or like, what's your opinion on this or that could be controversial. There's a lot of kind of ownership and what your thoughts are and what you're doing and kind of your experiences. So this discussion board is going to look a little bit different. If you've had me in courses past, you'll know that I will usually come in and ask challenging questions and really kind of invoke a discussion. This particular course isn't necessarily designed for that as much. So I will participate on the course discussion board, but this is going to be mainly kind of a reflective thing for you guys and then a way to encourage each other and really kind of see where people are at. So there are, let's see, 5 group discussion boards. They are, let's see, I can't remember which weeks they are. I'm so sorry. So 5 out of the 7 weeks have those group discussion boards. Just remember a couple things, of course, that your first initial reply to the question does need to be at least 300 words in length. And then that is due by Thursday night of every single week that we have a discussion board. And then, of course, you will be responding to 2 additional classmates each week that we have a group discussion board. That does need to be, I don't have like a length. Oh, yes, it can't be shorter than 100 words, but make sure that you're paying attention to content and resources. Of course, if you're sorting outside sources, those do need to be cited within your post. Also, if you do have questions or you do want to challenge or those sorts of things, feel free to do that. Of course, use etiquette in doing that, but I think it's really great to be able to have healthy discussions and to challenge people's viewpoints and to really think outside the box. I'm huge on thinking outside the box. So I very much value people's input and those sorts of things. So feel free to use the discussion board as a forum for that. Now, I know that I've had most of you in class and many of you have been in class with each other, but of course we do have that get to know you discussion board for week 1. So make sure within the first few days of class that you go ahead and you post on that. Let us know a little bit about who you are, maybe what you're planning on doing with your degree, how far you are in the program, something unique about yourself. That just helps us to get to know each other a little bit more. And I'm going through a couple of these assignments quickly because many of you have had them many times in your classes before. But when we get into the meat of it, that's the next assignment here. And those are going to be the group sessions and reflection. So this is very, very important. There's a very long description on your syllabus. So make sure that you read through that. But this is a group dynamics class. So we're going to be talking primarily about group counseling. There's not going to be a lot of deviation from that. And in order to get the best experience, we are actually going to be in groups and perform and participate in groups throughout this course. So what that's going to look like is that I am going to be splitting you into groups. They're going to be 4 or 5, maybe 6 people, depending on the size of the class. And you will be in that group for the entirety of the semester. For weeks 3 through 6, so 3, 4, 5, and 6, you guys are going to be doing actual groups. Now, the way that you're going to do this is through video equipment. So one thing that I didn't mention in the first video that I really want to make sure that you'll know right now is that part of the requirement for this course is that you have video capability either on your phone or on a computer. So there's a very specific program that needs to be downloaded. Sometimes you can get it through an app on your phone, or you can do it on your computer, or if you need to, get a webcam. And that is an absolute requirement for this class, okay? So you have to have that in order for this course and this assignment to work. So the first 2 weeks of class, you guys are going to have time to connect via phone, via email chain, whatever it is that's going to work best for you. Maybe you do a video chat. The first 2 weeks is going to be your your prep time. You're going to be able to decide what your group is going to be about. You're going to decide who's going to lead it when. You're going to decide a schedule for when the actual meeting dates and times are going to be, who's leading in what order. So you're going to have some time to really work on the logistics during weeks 1 and week 2. During that first week, you guys are going to need to select one person from your group who is going to do the initial download of the software. So again, all of this information, like the software and whatnot, is on your syllabus, but you're going to choose one person in the group who's going to go ahead and start the download process. And that person then is going to be able to send a link to the rest of the group members to be able to have access to the video software and your specific group. So again, the first couple weeks, you're going to make sure that they do that somebody does that you send the link out for the software. You're going to plan who's going to lead what, when, where, why, how, all those fun sorts of things. And you're going to set a group topic. Now, if you have questions about what the topic of the group is going to be, go ahead and ask me. But things that you can talk about, things to consider, is that, let's see, the type of group that you want to have. So this is going to be chapter 1 of our Jacob's text. You can see there's a bunch of different types of groups. So you're going to choose, okay, we want to do this type of group. And then you can pick a topic based off of that. You're going to want to make sure that the content of what you're going to be discussing in those groups is relevant for a 4-week format. Okay, so remember, we're only going to have 4 weeks to do this group. And so you're going to want to make sure that you can kind of fit the topic as well as the skills into those 4 weeks. So again, with that, you're going to want to make sure that it's not so deep that that it doesn't fit into like a 30-minute session. So these groups aren't going to be typical in the sense that they're like a 2-hour therapy group. These are going to be about 30 minutes, maybe 45. And so you're going to want to make sure that your topic isn't too deep so that we can't handle it in 30 to 45 minutes, but also that you can make sure that you're doing the skills that kind of correlate with the different weeks. So you're going to be, in order to determine kind of what's going to happen in the group each week, as well as the content, you're going to want to make sure that you are paying attention to your course schedule, weeks 3 through 6 specifically. So you'll notice that weeks 3 through 6 in the text, there's different skills and different dynamics that are being presented. So the person who is leading the first group, which would be week 3, is going to want to make sure that they've already read ahead on our group counseling strategies and skills, chapters 9 through 11, to ensure that how they're leading the group correlates to what we're reading in the textbook. Okay, so again, we were following our text. Make sure that that we're reading about what we're reading about that week is reflective in our groups. Now, each person in the group, because we've got 4 weeks. The goal is to have 4 weeks and 4 people in the group, so each person gets a chance to lead the group. On the off chance that there's more than 4 people in a group, and this of course is dependent on the class size, you will have co-leaders. There's only going to be a co-leader if there's more than 4 people in the group. So if there's 5 people in the group, obviously 2 of you will take 1 week to co-lead, but then the other 3 of you will need to lead individually. So that's also something that you're going to want to discuss the first week if you have more than 4 people in a group. Now, of course, like I've said, these groups are going to be assigned to you. You will get those in an email. And if you need help contacting one another, that is, you can absolutely ask me that. One thing you might consider is in your opening group discussion board, putting some contact information in there, your email, maybe a phone number, something like that, so that if people want to get a hold of you, they can. That's up to you how you want to go about that. So, of course, like I said, there's going to be 4 groups. Each group is 50 points apiece. And let's see, what's going to happen is that after each group, the way that you get the points is that you are, regardless of whether you're a participant or a leader of that group, you're going to submit kind of a reflection paper. And so you're going to spend some time reflecting on the topic of the group and how that was integrated with the skills that we were practicing for each week. And you're going to go ahead and make sure that you submit that in a Word document to Blackboard by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, weeks 3 through 6. Now, each of you is going to be leading a group session, and so the week that you lead your group session, you're going to do a little bit of extra work in terms of debriefing that session. So under this assignment, you'll see each student, the lead a group session. Each student is going to lead or co-lead a session, and part of your assignment for that is going to be to create a session plan or a session outline. There is kind of a reference to our text if you need to know kind of what that's supposed to look like. If you co-lead a session, then that plan is going to need to look the exact same for both of you, and both of y'all are going to need to submit that group plan. So that needs to happen one time only when you are leading. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Each of you is only going to submit one plan, but you're going to do a reflection paper for every single week that we have a group. Okay, hope you're following. Let's move to the next assignment, which is our online groups paper. You are going to write a 3 to 5 page paper on an online group for a particular project, or topic. So basically what you're going to do is kind of select and investigate a topic that has an online group forum. And you're going to, really, it's kind of an informational awareness thing. You don't necessarily need to participate in it. It doesn't have to have scholarly sources connected to it. But you're going to be researching it in the sense that you're finding out information about it. How does it run? What are the parameters? How do people interact? Those sorts of things. So you'll pick a topic and kind of do research on what's available within that. What you choose, it needs to be more than just like a question and answer forum. So, sometimes there's question and answer forums for, any mental health issue. How do you deal with bipolar? How do you parent? Those sorts of things. Those are great things. Those are great question and answer forums, but the online group we're looking for is a little bit more closed, where people are sharing experiences and feelings and connected to one another. So this assignment needs to be more than just a reflection on question and answer forums. The one thing I would really encourage you to do is make sure that this group is recognized somehow by some sort of a professional accreditation. So this might be, AA or American Counseling Association or something like that, where it's not just kind of a free-for-all with no structure or parameters, those sorts of things. A little bit more professional, I guess, is what I'm saying. This paper does not need to have sources from like professional sources, but you do need to make sure that it's written in the APA format, which includes a title page, and you do need to make sure that you cite any sources that you use, primarily the online group that you're actually observing. That's due week 4, so that, again, you can submit that in a Word document to Blackboard by 11:59 Central Standard Time on Sunday of week 4. This next assignment is one of my favorites. I think it's so helpful and so hands-on and just gives you such a unique perspective, and that is the group observation. Now, this is not due until the end of week 7, but it's something that I would encourage you to start working on now. The reason being, you are going to need to line up a group. You're going to need to ensure that you can go to it, that you're abiding by their confidentiality, group structure, rules, parameters, everything like that. And sometimes that can take a minute to find. So basically, what the group observation is just that. You are going to go and observe a group. You don't necessarily need to participate in the group, but it's okay if you do, and you'll want to check with the leader beforehand to make sure that that you know the appropriate expectations, if it's just going to be observatory or if you are going to be participating. One really quick note on this is that if you are already a part of a group, so maybe an AA group or a codependency group or divorce care or grief or anything like that, if you're already part of a group, I'm going to ask that you go to a different group. The reason why is this is going to be a really observatory this paper is coming from observations of the group, the dynamics, the leaders, the different roles of the group member, those sorts of things. And so it's oftentimes really hard to have that objective perspective if this is your group and you're doing your own therapeutic work within that group. So make sure that it's a group that you're not participating in. Okay, I just want to offer that for clarification. So what you're going to do is you're going to observe the group. You're going to write a 3 to 5 page paper. Again, this needs to be an APA formatting of your observations of the group. You'll notice on the syllabus, there's 6 different things that you are kind of observing and commenting on. Make sure within the paper you also identify the type of group and the number of participants within the group. And if you're looking for different types of group, you can look in your community centers, churches, counseling centers, the internet, community bulletin boards, anything like that. These could be groups like AA, NA, SA, divorce care, grief groups, parenting groups, any sort of like mental health topical group. If you have a question about if a specific group qualifies, go ahead and let me know, and I can let you know if it qualifies. Again, you are going to need to abide by the confidentiality parameters that are within this group, and that's why you really need to get started early on in the process. For instance, if you're wanting to attend a mental health support group, that leader would likely need to get permission from every single group member to have you in there observing. So you're going to need to do some homework and legwork beforehand. Whereas a lot of times if you're going to a community group like a Codependents Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, you're not going to have to do as much legwork in terms of confidentiality beforehand. So whatever the group is that you find, make sure that you do check with the leader or the organization to make sure it's okay to come in and observe. Again, this is due the end of week 7, Sunday, 11:59 Central Standard Time. Then, of course, there's the final project, and that's the last assignment that we're going to be going over in this video. And there's 2 parts within the final project. The first one is going to be kind of a conglomeration of a lot of the knowledge that you're gaining within this course. That being said, I'd encourage you to start early. Don't wait until the end of week 7 to actually turn this in. So the first part of the assignment is worth 200 points. So it's going to be the bulk of the assignment, about 80%. And you're going to design a plan for a structured group. And you'll see that all the different kind of parameters that you'll need to design for this group. So the type of groups, the goals, why this is going to be an important group, the type of population that this group is going to serve. I would really encourage you to find even maybe an area of passion that you have individually, that you would go, yeah, this would be an area that I would love to maybe run a group on, or I would love to be a participant in this type of group. Or down the road, I would love to know if this kind of group would be available and I could refer other people to it. So don't just pick, a group like AA and then kind of replicate what that is. Maybe pick something that's passionate for you, or kind of piggyback off of the group that you've already been doing here in this class. So again, make sure that you follow the parameters that are listed on the syllabus for how this group would be structured, and that's the first part of your assignment. And then the second part of the assignment is really kind of reflecting on yourself throughout this class. So that's going to be something that, of course, you'll wait till the end of the class to really kind of start working on, and that's going to be just kind of describing what you learned about yourself, kind of how you saw yourself. What was your role in the group? You'll notice in our texts we talk about different roles and that different group members play, and so notice yourself. What was your role? If you need help, ask your group members. What did you guys kind of see me? What was my role in the group? talk about the skills you learned. Talk about maybe what you learned about yourself personally, what you learned about yourself professionally, what you would want to do differently, what you would want to do the same. This is just a reflection paper. It's a great way to see where you've grown, the things that you've realized about yourself, and then the areas that you want to keep growing in. So that's the final paper. Of course, that's due week 7 at the end of the week, so Sunday. So you'll notice there's 2 pretty large assignments that are due the end of week 7. So of course, just make sure that you are keeping this in mind and not waiting until the 7th week of class to get these done. So I know there's a lot of really, really kind of different types of assignments. It feels like a lot of just kind of nitty-gritty work with the reading and the video tutorials and quizzes and all those sorts of things. And so, of course, the best way that you're going to be able to kind of keep track of everything is going to be through the course schedule that you guys are being provided. So it really does a nice job of breaking down everything that's due each week. And so it's going to give you kind of just an idea of how you need to plan your time, how you need to prepare, those sorts of things. So I don't want to overwhelm you even potentially more than you already are, but I wanted to at least be able to give you an overview so that you could feel a little bit more prepared walking into this class and getting started. Again, this is a 7-week course, so things are kind of compacted and there's bigger assignments in less time, but it's only 7 weeks. So like I said, to that end, I'm not gonna make my lecture videos. Just one more thing to do. I'm not gonna have them every week, but I wanna have a few just so that I can make sure that I'm connecting with you. So after you've had a chance to read this video, to look at our our announcements on our classroom board and read through the emails that I've sent you, if there's any questions that haven't been answered or concerns that you have, you can go ahead and ask me. But do make sure that you use those 3 resources first, and then go ahead and ask me anything after that. So I am so excited to get to know you these next 7 weeks. I've looked at the course roster, and many of you have had in class before, so this is really fun for me because we already have that relationship. And so I'm excited to keep getting to know you and to hopefully continue walking alongside you on this journey. I'm very passionate about psychology and counseling, and hopefully that can inspire y'all to be even a little bit more passionate in your own lives about both psychology as a profession, but then personally and doing your own work also. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Like I said, I look forward to getting to know each one of you just a little bit more. So I will see you on the classroom discussion board through emails and, of course, our interactive videos. Have a wonderful day.